Hello and welcome to DD India. I'm Akshay Dongre and you're watching our special program Voice of the Global South, a show that brings to you stories, news, achievements and concerns of a rising aspirational world. So let us begin with today's episode. The world is rapidly seeing increase in the number of wars, conflicts and geopolitical tensions across the globe, which has led to renewed calls for a reform in the United Nations Security Council, allowing it to adapt to the current geopolitical realities.
In a recent post on social media platform X, its owner Elon Musk stated that it's absurd how India is not a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council despite being the most populous country on Earth. Musk also said that countries who have excess power don't want to give it up. He added that Africa collectively should also have a permanent seat. The Tesla CEO's remarks were a response to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres' concerns about the absence of any African nation from the list of permanent members of the UNSC. Guterres had said that there is no one in the UNSC to lead Africa. He suggested the global institutions to change with the times, instead of moving on like the world of 80 years ago. President of the 78th session of the UN General Assembly, Denis Francis, acknowledged India's significant role in the United Nations at a press conference in the Indian capital on January 24th. Hopeful of India's permanent seat at the Security Council, he appreciated the nation's credibility and influence within the General Assembly.
India is a mature, highly respected member of the United Nations. It is a leader in many ways, and I'm sure that that fact is not lost on the members of the General Assembly.
UNSC consists of 5 permanent members: France, Russia, UK, the US and China. The 5 permanent members hold veto power over any substantial resolution. India has expressed dissatisfaction with the lack of progress in discussions on Security Council reform as a strong candidate for permanent UNSC membership. India's interest to hold a permanent seat in the Council has been supported by all members but has always been opposed by China. A non-permanent member for 8 terms, India is a member of the G4, a group of nations that back each other to seek permanent membership of the UNSC. Last year in September, addressing the UNSC, India's External Affairs Minister expressed his concern over United Nations' unwillingness to restructure may prompt the other world bodies to seek alternatives.
It is still a few nations who shape the agenda and seek to define the norms. This cannot go on indefinitely, nor will it go unchallenged. A fair, equitable, and democratic order will surely emerge once we all put our minds to it. And for a start, that means ensuring that rule makers do not subjugate rule takers.
India's role as a permanent member at the UNSC will give a major boost to the developing countries in the Southern Hemisphere, as India is known to be a natural leader of the Global South. It is thus a much-needed step for the bloc in need of collective strength to make their voice stronger.
Now let's talk about why these reforms are needed and how they are going to solve many of the problems that the world is facing right now. The United Nations Security Council was formed in the aftermath of World War II and was established on January 17, 1946, primarily to maintain international peace and security. This is the most powerful organization of the United Nations. It has a total of 15 members. UNSC has permanent 5 or P5 countries. Besides the 5 permanent members, the UNSC also comprises 10 non-permanent members, 5 from African continent and Asian nations, 1 from Eastern Europe and 2 each from Latin America and Western Europe. The Security Council's non-permanent members are elected by a two-third majority. The selection is on the basis of contribution to the maintenance of international peace and security and equitable geographical distribution. The 5 permanent members of UNSC have not been expanded since 1965. To become a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, a country will need the backing of two-thirds of the members of the United Nations General Assembly and all the P5 nations. As all 5 permanent members hold veto powers, so even if one country decides against a proposal, it will not be passed even if the other 4 countries have reached a consensus. There are more than 50 United Nations members that have never been part of the Security Council. India is the strongest contender for the 6th permanent seat in the UNSC. India has been elected as a non-member nation of the prestigious UN body on 8 occasions. Of the 5 permanent members, 4 countries have already expressed their support for India, but China does not want India to get an entry on the most powerful body of the United Nations. While several developed countries are facing economic distress, India is emerging as an economic powerhouse. India is voice of the developing countries and unrepresented regions including Africa and the vast majority of Asia and the Pacific. The spillover of the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict has led to a new collateral damage, the maritime trade, and has become a threat to the economies around the world, especially of the global south.
In response to the ongoing Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, United States and the UK naval forces carried out a fresh round of strikes in Yemen's capital Sana'a on January 22nd and 24th. The attack on January 24th destroyed 2 Houthi anti-ship missiles that were aimed at Red Sea and were preparing to launch. The UK Defence Ministry stated that multiple targets were attacked using precision-guided bombs. On January 22nd, the US claimed that they shot drones and missiles fired by Houthi movement this month as the conflict between Israel and Hamas spilled out into the broader region. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak confirmed the attack.
At my order overnight, the RAF engaged in a second wave of strikes against Houthi military targets in Yemen. We did so because we continue to see, including in intelligence, an ongoing and imminent threat from the Houthis to UK commercial and military vessels and to those of our partners in the Red Sea and wider region.
Since we last took action 10 days ago, there have been over 12 attacks on shipping by the Houthis in the Red Sea. These attacks are illegal, they're unacceptable. And what we've done, again, is send the clearest possible message that we will continue to degrade their ability to carry out these attacks, whilst sending the clearest possible message that we back our words and our warnings with action.
In a joint statement signed by 6 countries, strikes were carried out at 8 different locations in Yemen with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada and the Netherlands. Houthi underground storage sites were targeted using missiles and surveillance capabilities as flashes were seen covering the capital skyline. The attacks by Houthis has disrupted global shipping, creating a fear of global inflation among developing countries that may result in a destabilized Middle East. Suez Canal on the Red Sea is the only waterway which allows direct passage between Europe and Asia and hence remains a significant shipping route for India. It is used for trading of goods to the US East Coast, Europe, Middle East and Africa. The exports in India are being impacted by unnecessary increase in voyage time and fuel costs after the attacks by Houthi since October 2023. Ships have been rerouted via the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, adding around 30 days in travel time and creating a hike in freight charges and insurance premiums. This continuing strikes in the Red Sea by the Houthis, if not controlled, may result in constant trade disruptions in the countries of the global south.
There will be some hesitation from both sides, the customer sides and the supplier side, because there are delays in shipments. Some issues with cash flow because your lead time is going to be a bit longer. So those are the more concerns in the short term.
As a consequence, the Indian exporters had to hold back 25% of their cargo ships from passing through the Red Sea. This has alternatively forced many ship companies to suspend transportation or seek different routes. The ongoing crisis in the Red Sea has posed a threat to the maritime transportation of bulk farm products as well. The impact of the ongoing Israel-Gaza conflict is the danger of further disruption in the Middle East. The United Nations stated that it is in everybody's interest to defuse the man-made crisis and call for a ceasefire to prevent further spillover.
I will not relent in my call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire and the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. And we must do all we can to prevent spillover of this conflict across the region, in the West Bank, across the blue line between Israel and Lebanon, and in Syria, Iraq and the Red Sea.
Such strikes that are a result of Israel-Hamas spillover raise the risk of regional conflict. A disruption of shipping routes from the region threatens to hamper supply chains and increase consumer prices, causing an impact on the global South nations and resulting in global inflation.
Now we'll tell you how the Israel-Hamas conflict not just is impacting the maritime trade in the region, but can also impact the economies of the global South. The Red Sea connects Asia to Europe and the Mediterranean via the Suez Canal. An average of 50 ships pass through it daily, and that is about 1/3 of world's shipping container traffic, carrying about $3 billion to $9 billion US worth of cargo every day. It carries an estimated of more than $1 trillion worth of goods per year, and at least 40% of Asia-Europe trade transits through the Red Sea. Fearing attacks, major global shipping companies may avoid the Red Sea, which can lead to diverting some about $200 billion in trade. In recent weeks, ships carrying approximately 1.6 million tons of grain in total have shifted their routes from the Suez Canal. The main product affected by the Red Sea transportation crisis are rice from India, soybean from the United States, wheat from Europe, and quinoa seeds from Australia. Netherlands' largest dairy companies' containers are being shipped via the Cape of Good Hope since the crisis began. As the ships have to take a different route, it has resulted in higher transportation cost of at least 30 to 70% of each container. The extended delivery time is about 10 to 15 days depending on the destination. 12% of global trade is carried by the Red Sea waterways to avoid the risk of attacks. A detour around the Cape of Good Hope increases sailing time from Asia to Europe by up to 20 days. Booking prices of Asia to North Europe shipments at platforms like Freightos have more than doubled to above $4,000 per 40-foot container. The Houthi standoff in the Red Sea could see a spike in the cost of both oil and food and reignite inflation in many countries. As per the World Bank's latest report, Global Economic Prospect, global growth is projected to slow for the third year in row, from 2.6% last year to 2.4% in 2024. It also states that developing economies are projected to grow just at 3.9%, that is about 1 percentage point below the average of previous decades. We will take a small break here and be back with more Global South stories on the other side. Keep watching.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution. This series is going to tell stories of such change makers. Watch Change Makers on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India, and this is Voice of the Global South. Let's move on to our next stories. More than 1.4 billion Indians and Hindus around the world celebrated the much-awaited return of Lord Ram to his birthplace, the ancient city of Ayodhya, as Indian Prime Minister inaugurated the Ram Temple in the historic city.
The 22nd of January marked a historic day for India, the invocation of the divine into the Ram Temple. The consecration of the idol of Ram Lala took place in India's Ayodhya Dham. It was a moment of great spiritual, cultural and national significance.
हमारे राम आ गए हैं। सदियों की प्रतीक्षा के बाद हमारे राम आ गए हैं। सदियों का अभूतपूर्व धैर्य, अनगिनत बलिदान, त्याग और तपस्या के बाद हमारे प्रभु राम आ गए हैं। इस शुभ घड़ी की आप सभी को, समस्त देशवासियों को बहुत बहुत बधाई।
The temple halls were filled with chants of Jai Shri Ram. Prime Minister Narendra Modi performed the consecration ceremony amid holy chimes, with 121 priests led by Acharya Lakshmikant Dikshit.
प्रभु राम तो भारत की आत्मा के कण कण से जुड़े हुए हैं। राम भारतवासियों के अंतर मन में विराजे हुए हैं।
A grand celebration of the 51-inch tall idol of a 5-year-old Lord Ram perched on a lotus flower unfolded with golden yellow flowers shied by the Indian Air Force's helicopters on the deity. Prime Minister Modi concluded his 11-day fast and heralded the significance of the event.
ये मंदिर मात्र एक देव मंदिर नहीं है, ये भारत की दृष्टि का, भारत के दर्शन का, भारत के दिग्दर्शन का मंदिर है। ये राम के रूप में राष्ट्र चेतना का मंदिर है। राम भारत की आस्था है, राम भारत का आधार है, राम भारत का विचार है, राम भारत का विधान है, राम भारत की चेतना है, राम भारत का चिंतन है, राम भारत की प्रतिष्ठा है, राम भारत का प्रताप है, राम प्रवाह है, राम प्रभाव है, राम नेति भी है, राम नीति भी है, राम नित्यता भी है, राम निरंतरता भी है, राम विभु है, विशद है, राम व्यापक है, विश्व है, विश्वात्मा है।
Appreciating the dedication of the workers who built the temple, Prime Minister Modi showered flower petals on them. Within the premises of the temple, the PM also offered prayers to Lord Shiva and unveiled a statue of Jatayu, the demi-vulture god. The much-awaited event was not only celebrated in India, but by Hindus across the world. Several countries took part in the celebrations as well. Nepal's Janaki temple beamed the ceremony live. In Sri Lanka, prayers were held at various temples. On the occasion of the consecration ceremony, Mauritius granted a special 2-hour leave to Hindu public servants. Over the centuries and across various civilizations, Lord Ram and Ayodhya have not only had an exalted position in the consciousness of the people of India, but they've also served as a source of inspiration for individuals worldwide. In nations like Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Myanmar, Fiji, Cambodia, Philippines, Mongolia, Vietnam and numerous others, Lord Ram is revered as a prominent deity. The global reverence of Lord Ram in these countries highlights the extensive influence and adaptability of the Ramayana, transforming it into a worldwide spiritual phenomenon. Each culture has infused its distinctive elements, contributing to diverse interpretations while upholding the fundamental narrative of virtue, duty, and the victory of good over evil. The tale of Lord Ram has even made its mark in Western literature and art.
The Ram Temple is a mechanism to boost India's tourism, acting as a new global tourist spot for many around the world. With around 850 billion rupees of infrastructure makeover, the ancient town's economy will rise high in the coming months. One of the biggest contributions to the religious tourism in India, the Ram Temple is spread across 70 acres of land and supported by millions of devotees. The number of pilgrims to visit the holy temple are expected to rise to 10 to 30 million per day. The Ram Temple is not only spiritually important but also plays a significant financial role. Located in the holy city of Ayodhya, it has given a boost to many factors. They include a new airport, revamped railway station, townships, improved road connectivity, and new hotels that are to be built around the temple. The inauguration of the Ram Temple has created a positive impact on the railways and aviation sector in the country, with airlines announcing direct flights to Ayodhya from multiple cities and the Indian Railway declaring tour packages to Ayodhya. The new airport, built at a cost of $175 million and can handle 1 million passengers in its phase 1. The international terminal, expected to completed by 2025, will increase the capacity by 6 million passengers. There will be similar improvements in connectivity and infrastructure that will benefit the state of Uttar Pradesh with a population of more than 250 million people. Grand military parades and beautiful cultural displays marked the 75th Republic Day in India, which was attended by the French president and troops, making it a grand celebration.
Steeped in nationalistic fervour, India, that is Bharat, celebrated its 75th Republic Day.
In fact, when the Prime Minister...
It was on this day in 1950 that India's Constitution replaced the Government of India Act of 1935, giving the Republic of India its sovereign democratic form.
Honouring and revering those...
Prime Minister Narendra Modi began the day by leading the nation in paying homage to the numerous soldiers who've made the supreme sacrifice in defence of the motherland. President Draupadi Murmu and chief guest French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in a horse-drawn chariot led by the only serving active horse cavalry regiment in the world, the 61 Cavalry. President Macron joined his Indian host in greeting Namaste
of France, Emmanuel Macron.
On display was everything that defines India: military might, cultural diversity, and traditional values. Each marching contingent proudly saluting the President of India, their supreme commander, and whose office embodies India's nationhood. The chief guest, President Emmanuel Macron, too acknowledged the French band and marching contingents that marched with their Indian counterparts.
As well.
An all-women marching contingent of the three armed forces, led by Captain Sandhya, proudly saluted President of India, Draupadi Murmu. Women power was on display throughout the parade. Women officers took the lead in displaying the Swati weapon locating radar and the Pinaka rocket system.
The Pinaka multi-barrel rocket.
CRPF's women band and the Armed Forces Medical Services provided a colourful depiction of India's cultural richness and military strength. The T-90 Bhishma guns turned in salute, a proud symbolic act of allegiance. Indian Air Force aircraft and helicopters also flew past the misty sky.
125 helicopters.
There were 25 tableaus displaying India's vibrant cultural diversity. 16 states and UTs were represented along with 9 ministries and departments. The Indian troops also had participated in the 2023 Bastille Day celebrations. India's 75th Republic Day parade displayed progress, diversity and achievements. Among the most prominent achievements, its all-round inclusive growth. India has made great strides towards gender equity, clearly visible and recognized at the Kartavya Path. Bureau Report, DD India.
What made the 75th Republic Day in India remarkable was the participation of women, who led the celebrations, making India an example for countries leading the way in women empowerment in Global South. On 26th January, during the Republic Day parade on Kartavya Path, and all women contingent of military nursing services will be taking part in this year. This was the first time that an all-women contingent from the MNS will be taking part, and we have Major Khullar here with us from AMC. Ma'am, what is the significance of this particular all-women military nursing contingent that will be marching on?
So this has just told us that what we are capable of, because we have been adapted in such a way. Otherwise, we are used to working in tandem at hospitals. We work in coordination. But by this opportunity, we have realized that we are capable of much more. So we're really thankful that this concept has come up of Nari Shakti and women empowerment.
Nari Shakti has been a talking point of the government for several years. Now we are seeing the result of it as well, be it the involvement of women in armed forces, but now an all-women contingent. Has it ever happened?
This is the first time that Armed Forces Medical Services has got the opportunity to march at Kartavya Path, and we are representing all the pillars of FMS. That is medical officers from the Army, Navy and Air Force, Army Dental Corps and Military Nursing Services.
We have this all-women contingent from trial services here with us in this Republic Day parade. Ma'am, can you tell us about this contingent?
This is a first ever all-women tri-services contingent which will be marching on the Kartavya Path, showcasing the seamless integration between the services of Indian Armed Forces. This contingent comprises of women soldiers from the Corps of Military Police of Army, Navy and Air Force.
How do you think this is a significant message as far as increasing synergy among all the armed forces?
Synergy already exists. The all three services, it works as a team only whenever it is required. And one example you can see here with us, despite the differences in the drills and procedures, we are marching together as one contingent. So, of course, it showcases the integration which exists.
With camera person Jakpal, Shaukin Akshay Dongre, DD India. And this is all we have for you in this edition of Voice of the Global South. Let us know your thoughts on the show. You can also connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching our special program. News and updates continue on DD India. Keep watching.